They'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
You are different cat. You're different kettle of fish.
Russ of the West End Network. Hope you're all safe and well. A new location today. I'm recording it because the Wi-Fi is a bit dodgy, and I know as soon as I press that live button, it will go kaput. So I do apologise. All will be revealed at a later date. Why I'm in a special location. I'll keep you tantalising on a little bit longer. As we always do, the night after the day before, the day after the game before, we present to you the ratings, where I give you my ratings, and we're doing this sort of live, so to speak, so you guys can interact with one another in the chat, give your scores, give your thoughts, and back and forth with each other. So although I'm not being rude, but I'm doing this pre-recorded, which is highly unlikely for Rusty B. I do apologise. Yesterday, bad day at the office, wasn't it? Very, very poor. We were all very excited when we saw the team sheet. It's probably our strongest side we could put out currently. Or it probably is our strongest side, to be honest, full stop, with the exception of maybe a Gerd in for Dawson, then move Zouma back to the right side. But we looked ordinary. I think Crystal Palace made look ordinary. They had a lot of pace, power. They had a lot of skill, and we couldn't combat it really, which was a shame because we played so well against Man United, and particularly. And Deck said it in his post-match interview. He doesn't know why. We didn't have as many chances as we did against Man United away. How does that make sense? I don't know. Anyway, 2 games left before the World Cup break, with 2 home games this week to try and rectify it and finish this sort of mini first third of the season on a high, really, with games against Blackburn in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday at home, and then Leicester on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff, I believe in it. Unbelievable, Jeff. Anyway, so as I said, I'm going to give you the highlight. I'm going to give you my ratings. You're going to disagree with them, but in the comments, you can banter with one another and all that type of stuff. That's the plan, Stan. So let's start with Mr. Fabianski. Obviously, he was injured. He went off half-time injured with a knee injury sustained against Man United, but quickly overcame that to start against Palace. We thought that would happen because with Areola playing in goal on Thursday against FSSB. First half, despite maybe Palace having dominated that first half, he had little to do, really. There was a couple of half chances. Eze had a shot, and I think Michael Aloisi had a shot, I thought was brilliant the whole game. They're the only ones who really tested him from any from range, rather than close up. He had little to do with the goal in terms of Saha's equaliser, and had little to do after the break, really. I thought he rushed out quite well when needed. There was some good punches, some good claims, some corners. His distribution was actually quite good. There was some good distribution, I thought. There was a particular great ball to Bowen, which he failed to capitalise on, quite frustratingly. He was forced into a brilliant instinctive save from Dawson towards the end of the game, where Dawson was turned into his own net. And again, I don't think he was at fault for the winner either. There was little he could do, to be fair. So it was a solid game for Areola, I thought. Not Areola, for Fabianski, in my opinion. Let me know what you gave him as a score. I gave him a 6. Let's move on. Let's talk about Thilo Kehrer. Thilo Kehrer obviously went straight into the game at right back. He was one before the game was kicked off. He was 1 yellow card away from suspension. Early on, showed some good signs of defending. When he's got the ball at his feet, he's quality. A couple of mislaid passes, but everyone was doing them, to be fair. Linked up well with Jared Bowen, and his interception led to the pass to Paqueta, which led to Benrahma's goal. He was unfortunately left looking rather red-faced, and I don't put the blame on him for the goal. For me, it rests totally on Craig Dawson. It was little he could do. I think he maybe could have just let it go out rather than trying to deflect it in. I don't know, but he tried to make up for that second half on a few big tackles, some last ditch sort of efforts, getting in the way, and did well in possession going forward, well in relative terms to everyone else. What did you give him? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. I gave him a 6. Let's move on. Let's talk about Zouma. Let's talk about Kurt Zouma. Obviously, my man of the match against Man United, and I'd hope that he'd emulate that going into the Crystal Palace game, and he did to all intensive purposes. I think he picked up where he left off, particularly in the first half. It was really good, composed on the ball. What I'm liking about Zouma at the moment, he's bringing the ball forward a lot more. He's not just being his blocker. He's actually trying to start play. Maybe it's out of frustration. Maybe he's trying to get things moving a little bit. But look, generally good on top of things, really. Same in the second half. Less effective, maybe. But I think the whole team was less effective second half, maybe. And again, not really at fault for either of the goals, I'd say. And was probably our best of the back four. Yeah, definitely. Let me know what you gave him as a score. Rusty B gave him a 7, which was maybe generous, but I thought compared to the rest of the back four, I thought he was head and shoulders above everyone else. Let's talk about Aaron Creswell. Let's talk about Ballon Dawson. Oh well, bad day at the office for Craig. Bad day for Ballon. Obviously, him and Zouma impressed immensely against Man United at Old Trafford, and defended initially well. Him and Zouma, and blocks a lot of the Palace moves, a lot of Palace pressure. Got very tight to Zaha, so tight in the set in Palace's half that actually it led to the Benrahma goal, really. But then was the culprit for Zaha's equaliser. A very poor pass to Kehrer. And Deck alluded to it in his post-match interview, saying, we're trying to play from the back and sometimes we lose the ball. That was a very poor mistake for anyone, really. And then he tried to, you could tell he was trying to make up for that. I think in the second half, Zaha broke through and he got in the way and tried to block his attempt. Almost gave Palace a winner late on with a very poor touch off a cross and forced Fabianski into an amazing save, really. Really was a phenomenally instinctive save, but wasn't a good day. Wasn't his shining light for Ballon. Rusty B gave him 5, and that hurts me. But he did. I think that's how he played. What did you score him? Let me know. Let's talk about Aaron Creswell. Now, Creswell, went into the game having been statistically the best left back in Europe, according to SofaScore's team of the month. In the same side as Messi and Haaland, but didn't emulate that in the game. I thought he was quite poor. I thought his crossing was quite poor early on, particularly. And Scamacca was trying to carve some half chances out of the ball that was given to him. He struggled with Michael Luisi. I think Vieira targeted Aaron Creswell, that left-hand side, knowing that obviously Benrahma doesn't necessarily hold his position, which is obviously an issue with Benrahma. If you don't work around that, if that makes sense. If you assume he's going to be playing left side, he's not going to be playing left. He's going to want to play everywhere. So the idea is you counter that. And obviously Vieira knew that was going to happen. I think him and Mike, I think it was Nathaniel Klein and Michael Luisi doubled up on Creswell pretty much, and he struggled. And he did struggle. And that's unfortunately happens when he plays against genuine pace. He does struggle now, which is a shame because he's been a good servant for the club. I still think he needs to start transitioning into the centre-back position. Not comparing him to Steve Potts, but Steve Potts was a very diminutive-sized player and was a phenomenal centre-back as well. So he could do a job there, I think. But anyway, that's for another day. Let me know what you gave Mr. Creswell. Rusty B gave him a 5. Thought it was a poor game from Aaron. Poor game from the whole back four, really. Maybe with the exception of Zouma for some. Let's talk about Declan Rice. Talk about the skipper. Obviously, he was spared the trip to Romania, which was great because he probably needs it not only for domestically but internationally as well. And nice to have a little bit of a break. I think he couldn't be faulted in his game. He looked good in the ball. He sprayed it about. He was, as always, he's what drives the team forward from midfield. Some good long passes, some mislaid passes as well. But by his own admission, you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelette type thing. So I think it was out of frustration, trying to get things moving, maybe a step too quickly, which is quite ironic. Because I thought we were quite slow in terms of our transitions. There was one shot he had which was wayward, but again, did what he does well. One tackles, looked solid. They weren't getting much joy in the middle. They were getting joy down the flanks, really, in all honesty. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you scored, Deck. Russie B scored him a 7. I scored him a 7. Let's talk about Soucek. Tommy Soucek back in the side. Only scored twice this season, despite his usual goals in midfield. Those 2 goals both coming in August, so he hasn't scored since the opening month of the season. He wasn't great on the ball. His passing wasn't good. Defended well, at times. Palace's attacking threat, but there's a couple of poor long passes. There was one I remember in the second half where he was trying to get it out to Bowen and there was just no pace in it, and it's almost like he caught his foot in the turf. Nowhere near sort of mirroring Declan Rice at all in terms of what he was bringing to the game. So he was replaced with Flynn Downs, which, as I said in the chat for the game, was applauded and cheered by the West Ham fans, which just shows what we think. We know the fan base is very much skewed towards Downs over Soucek, and it was very evident in the applause. In all honesty, so what did you give Tommy Soucek? Let me know in the comments below. Russie B gave him a 6, and maybe it's a bit generous, like maybe a 5 to be honest. He wasn't very good, I didn't think at all. And as I said, to be playing so badly, so to speak, that Moyes would take him off. It's a very unusual thing. Let's talk about Bowen. He didn't play against FCSB. He had a slight ankle knock, and he was really poor compared to recent games. I thought Mitchell, their left back, did a great job marking him out of the game. Really limited his threat, got on him tight, and didn't let him turn. That's what he likes to do. Doesn't he? He likes to take a touch and then go round. Mitchell went having none of that. He marshalled him really well, I thought. This was technically the last. Well, it would be, I think, the last league game before the World Cup is announced. I think the World Cup is announced. Well, it has to be announced by next Sunday, and it's believed that it will be announced on Thursday, which is crazy because then the World Cup starts the week after. So it was a big blow to have this was a game, although Gareth Southgate wasn't at the game, he was at the Southampton Newcastle game. This would have been a good game to get the plaudits. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays on Wednesday, just to maybe show Gareth what he could bring. Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised thinking about it out loud. But it wasn't a great game. It wasn't a great game for him. And I think someone said, I think he's on the outside looking in. I think that's what he's doing for England, unfortunately. He's played himself off the plane. That's what I think, unfortunately. Because he can be, and until recently, he's been playing quite well. But yesterday was not the right time to do it. Not the right time to have a stinker. What did you give Gareth? What did you give Gerrard? Let me know in the comments. Russie B gave him a 5. Let's move on like Donkey Kong. Let's go with Benny boy Benrahma. Despite Pablo Fornal scoring 2 goals and how great he played against FCSB, Benrahma kept his place on the wing, and I thought that was pretty much in stone. Scored, obviously, a fantastic goal, great finish from distance, and possibly, apart from that cheer, the loudest noise I think that the stadium heard was when he was subbed off. huge boos. There was it was a real contrast. You had the Benrahma substitution for Lanzini, and there was loads of boos, and then straight after Martin announced, Soucek for Downs, there was huge applause. It was a really weird contrast. Particularly also, I think all the lower tier fans definitely started chanting "Sai Benrahma." He looked good in the ball. A couple of times, there was defensively he's questionable early on, maybe, which may have led him to be coming off. And maybe Moyes wanted some. I don't know, but he's been on Lanzini, so it's I never really understood it. Never understood it. Going forward though was great, and when we're pushing on, he's the type of person you want there when the game's opening up. Maybe he assumed that Palace were going to tighten up, and then that's when Lanzini comes into his own because he can find sort of passes. But actually, Palace went for the jugular. They sensed blood and went for it. So, maybe I don't know. I don't think any of us know really. Rusty B gave him a 7. I thought he played a very, very good game, and I was surprised he got substituted off. Let's talk about Paqueta. Obviously, he's missed the last 5 games in all competitions with a collarbone injury, but back in the squad. He replaced Flynn Downs, really, who's the only change from the loss to Man United last week. And his creative spark has been sorely missed. There's been a lot of hoo-ha about how poorly, we're not playing attacking, we're playing 3 defensive midfielders. And it's just, he brings, you've got some clever bits of skill, plenty of creativity, loves a turn. The ball sticks to his feet, and he could be the complete player. I really think so, because he can put a tackle in. He likes dishing it out, but also he's got this natural, rather than he's just naturally gifted, And I thought, he teed up Benrahma for the goal with a clever pass, and was really the only attacking player who looked like they were going to trouble Palace. Less effective playing alongside Antonio, which was ironic, which frustrated me because he then goes 2 up front and when Scamacca's off. That's the second time he's done that. Antonio doesn't play well with a partner. Antonio plays well on his own. Scamacca needs the partner. So it's it was a complete flip of what we should have done. But it was good to see him back. I was happy he was back. And we needed his creativity, even to make it a bit more interesting and fun and entertaining to watch. Those little tricks and flicks makes a huge difference because they come off and he uses them sparingly, where he doesn't use them all the time, which I like as well. Rusty B gave Lucas Paqueta a 7. He was my star man of the match. Let's talk about Scamacca quickly. To me, it's self-evident that Paqueta's absence on the side has led to this poor run for Gianluca. He's looked half the player he has when Scamacca was playing. Yesterday, he looked a lot better, I thought, in terms of just his nature. Didn't get too many chances. The chances weren't coming in. Where against Man United and Liverpool, we were creating chances. We weren't creating chances, which again is slightly worrying. When you're creating chances and not scoring, that's okay. But when you're not creating chances and not scoring, that was worrying, and that's what worried me yesterday. There was crosses from Creswell which were poor. They were overhit, they were wide, and he battled. He battled and did what he could, and then he took off half time, which I still don't understand because. At the end, again, it proved at the end when Antonio had a decent, there was a shot on target he could have had right to death. I would have wanted Scamacca on there because he would have got a high chance of scoring it than Antonio. I didn't understand it. A couple of strange calls there. Maybe panic calls, maybe. I don't know. Rusty B gave Scamacca a 6. I'm not going to talk about all the subs quickly. I'm just going to talk about Antonio because obviously he came on and played a whole half to try and, prove his worth maybe after he had a good cameo against Old Trafford. But I think everyone had a better game, up their game. He tried to battle, couldn't really get the ball. It doesn't stick to him. There was one good run about 10 minutes to go that, quite embarrassingly, the lad's built like a tank, and he goes down because someone's fingernail touched him. You know what I mean? It's like, it's embarrassing. I was embarrassed when I saw the replay, because he goes down far too easy. Back 2 years ago, he'd be knocking people off left, right, and centre, bouncing off him. That's why we called him Mark Henry. They're bouncing off him. That doesn't seem the way now. I don't understand. There was a stoppage time. There was, to be honest, his wasted effort in that last game, a bit of play, led to Palace countering and scoring. We seemed a lot more wasteful with him on, and it wasn't a good cameo. Again, it was made for him to come on and be an absolute, beast, but no. Rusty B gave him a 5. And then if we talk about quickly the others, I haven't got their stats up, but 20 minutes to go, he brings on Lanzini, who comes on, getting Premier League minutes is very rare for him, and they sort of played him on the left, which was weird. And so, seemingly playing this sort of makeshift left winger, and I don't know why Fornals didn't come on then. Fornals came on at the end when he had to, really, when Paqueta got a knock. But yeah, just why? I almost thought he was then going to take Lanzini off and bring Fornals on the left side, or Emerson. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, he had the options there, and I honestly thought maybe he thought because Lanzini had scored 5 goals against Crystal Palace in his West Ham career that there would be, a bit of luck there. But sorry, it's been going for so long. I do apologise. A bit of luck, but no, wasn't happening at all. So I didn't think he came on very well. Finn Downs, 3 straight games in the Premier League, lost his place. So Paqueta coming in, introduced at the same time with Lanzini. 1 tackles, did well to make things happen. The best of the substitutes, came on and played well. And then Fornals came on, which had to come on because Paqueta got injured. So all in all, a very, very, as I said in the thumbnail, a very bad day at the office. 2 games to go. Let's see what we do. I totally understand frustrations. I totally understand everything. Sometimes, I can't legislate for those substitutions he made. Just can't. Didn't make any sense to me. And the fans booed him off the pitch. I think they sit and I think it was right. This is a winnable game. Crystal Palace have not won a game away this season. Welcome to West Ham. Anyway, as I said, if you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. I'll see you later on. Take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay healthy, and keep the faith. Been through a lot worse, boys. Worse, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Good night.